Hi everybody, it's Robbie in Zone 10A from Southern California. I want to do this video just on cucumbers. And there is my cucumber plants. I bought one tray at the nursery. I was going to grow it from seed, but decided not to. And I planted 3 plants in here. And what it is, it's one of those composting bins that I set up. The bottom one was a big one I found in the trash. Actually duct taped it together. And I was throwing, of course, all my kitchen scraps, shredded paper, brown leaves from my garden, everything, all kinds of leaves, tomato leaves and all kinds of kale and collard and even the moringa leaves. Anything brown just went in there. And then I topped it with a little bit of wood chips. And what I did also, I think I put a little bit of potting soil in as I started to plant. But before that, as you can see, I put in the center a smaller tub, which I am composting in there as well. And I did the same thing, put kitchen scraps and leaves, everything from the garden, twigs, branches, everything went in there. And so I made kind of like a tower, because when I got a little more than halfway up, I put the blue tub on the top. And then I really started composting a lot in there. And what that will do is when I water the lighter blue tub on the top, it's going to also feed whatever plants are growing in the bottom larger tub on the very bottom. So everything's going to be really happy. I also stuck in 2 flower pots, as you can see. And there I planted, I've got a couple little things I stuck in there. That one's got a melon growing. The other side I didn't plant anything yet. And I can put some, leaves and things from the garden, and I'm going to put some kitchen scraps in those. And then inside, you can barely see it because my tomato plant that I planted in there is taken off. Inside the smaller tub, the blue one, see there's a white bucket in there. So it's almost a 3-tier, except the bucket kind of sunk a little bit because I didn't really wait that long to put it in. So I've got multiple things going on in this one container garden. But what I'm trying to do, my main thing, is to get the cucumbers to grow, and I am doing really great. I'm very, very satisfied with it. I bought the small variety of pickling cucumbers because they grow very fast. I don't have to wait for them to get big. I can pick them at any size, of course. And I've got them, like I said, one is on one side of the tub, one's on the other, and one is in the blue tub in the center. And I'm training them, which they're kind of doing on their own, to grow up that fence, which is really not much of a fence to speak of. And it's trellising on the old tomato plant that just died recently. That's a 2-year-old vine, and it kind of finally had its day. And I was going to pull it down, but instead of pulling it down, I went ahead and left it, and I figured I'm going to have the cucumber grow on my tomato plant, and it will cover it all and will give it something to grip onto, because cucumbers have tentacles and they want to grip. It's working out wonderful. So let's get a little closer and take a look, and you'll see what I'm talking about. See the tentacles here? Well, they are wrapping around and going around the cucumbers on their own. Of course, I just did that. It will let go, but it will wrap around on its own. Here's one here. See how that wrapped around? This is all doing it on its own. Look at all the baby cucumbers. I already picked some too. And they will continue to wrap around, and as it runs out of room on the top, it will go along the side there and hopefully fill this all up before we get hit with winter, and I should get a lot of cucumbers. And now that old 2-year-old tomato plant died. You can still see look at that, the bullfrog masking tape, the green stuff. That's been sitting there for, I don't know, 6 months now. It's still on there. It's holding nothing. The plant's dead, but it's actually good because now the cucumber is continuously growing these 3 little plants. Well, they were little. And now it is using the old dead vine, and it was just taken off through there, but it was an old plant, and now it's just taking off. Isn't that cool? It's going to grow in between, and it's going to cover it, and then there's more coming, more side shoots, so it's going to keep going. And that's what's so cool about the garden. Look at all the cucumbers. They're full, and like I said, I've been picking them, and you really have to look. They blend in, and you think there's no cucumbers, and then you move it, and there's a huge one sitting there. So far, so good. It's full of baby cucumbers. I picked a bunch. I'm pickling them. I'm making salads out of them. I'm eating them raw. Cucumbers really don't mind the heat, which is really good because we've been running really about 100 degrees plus, and they are doing fantastic. They don't even droop in the hottest time of the day, where my zucchini leaves, they will droop down, but the cucumbers, they don't even droop. The heat does not affect them. That's a good plant to grow in a hot area. At least this variety is, which is the small pickling one. So now I'll show you my cucumbers. Here are some of my cucumbers. They're spiky at first. You can wash that off. You cut them off, don't pull them. And the reason I wouldn't pull them is the vine is delicate. You don't want to break the vine. You want it to continue to grow. And they are spiky, so be careful holding them at first. When you get them in the store, I'm sure they go through washes and different things, and they take all the spikes off. And let's pick the other one as well. You don't want to leave cucumbers on the plant too long. If you leave them on too long, the plant will think, kind of like eggplant, that it's been successful, and then it may die. And you don't want your plant to die. You want it to go as long as it possibly can. These are good for just eating, making salads, or making pickles. And these are the small type of cucumbers. They're not the big ones. They always taste better when they're baby cucumbers. But now we've got 2 of them, and I'm going to do something with them. There's more through the plant. But remember, with cucumbers, see the baby cucumbers coming? You don't want to pull it. You want to cut them. Because if you pull them, you could damage the plant, and then you could end up losing out on getting a whole bunch of new cucumbers. But they're just beautiful, and they love the heat. So if you're in an area that's hot, we've been running 100 and over, and the cucumbers are doing so well. They don't even show any damage from the heat. The only damage is this one. See this here? This is bird damage. The birds will sit there and they'll gnaw on it. Now it is possible it could have been a grasshopper, but usually they kind of chew a little differently. But I see the birds hanging on, they'll eat the leaf down. They do it to my squash too. That's all right, it doesn't hurt the plant. Don't sweat over things like that, it's no big deal, it's just a leaf. They get a lot of damage, they'll get hail damage. If it rains really bad and you end up with hail, I've had hail damage. Plant will keep going, no big deal. So with cucumbers, if you want it to continue to grow, and I'm sure you do, don't let them get too big. These are 2 different sizes that I've picked. As you can see here, they are 2 different sizes, and both of them will be still good. They shouldn't have a lot of seeds. These are the small pickling type cucumbers. Perfect to eat in salads, raw, any way you want to make them. I've got different recipes. So there they are. I've got more on the other side. I've got more all over the yard. They do really well if you trellis them up. And this way you can find them. I had them last year growing on the ground, and the squirrels found them before me. I would find the cucumber somewhere half eaten. And this way, I got the cucumber and they didn't. And that's what was important to me. So I trellised these, and you know what? I didn't even do anything as far as trellising. So here we are now the next day, not doing this at night. So you can see how they're growing, and maybe you should think about growing some if you're not growing cucumbers. Try to make sure you trellis them up, because if you let them go along the ground, they're really good hiders. You can't see them for some reason, and your rodents that are around, squirrels, they grab them, they run off with them, and they love them. So you want to make sure they're up so you see them before anything else sees them, and you can pick them when they're nice and young. Don't let them ripen on the vine. If you let them ripen on the vine, the plant will be done, and that you don't want. If you don't have any bees for any reason, let's say it's the wrong time of the year and you've got yours still growing and there's no bees around, you can hand pollinate the cucumbers just as you do the squash. You can take a male flower and just rub it up against the female flowers and you can hand pollinate. I have not had to hand pollinate my cucumbers. We've got plenty of bees, but you can hand pollinate the cucumbers if you need it. You probably don't, but it's good to know if you need it. So with my small harvest of some pickles today, or cucumbers, they're not pickles yet, and my zucchini, I'm going to go make some pickles out of zucchini and my little cucumbers, my pickling cucumbers. Have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.